California passes more regulations than almost any other state in the country. Building codes, environmental reviews, zoning laws stacked on zoning laws. And yet, out in the desert, about 150 miles east of San Diego, there's a settlement with no landlord, no zoning, no police patrols, no running water, and no permits of any kind. Do you fancy living there with absolutely no state intervention, and you can do exactly as you feel? Roughly a square mile of state-owned land where people have simply been living off the grid for decades. The state technically owns every inch of it, and still, nobody's kicked the residents out. That's not an oversight. It's not California looking the other way. It's geography making a decision that no one in Sacramento ever had to sign off on. This is the story of Slab City, and why the same government that regulates the size of your soda cup has left an entire unofficial town alone in the desert for more than 60 years. Let's start with what's actually out there, because it's stranger than most people picture. Scattered across the sand are concrete slabs, dozens of them, flat, rectangular foundations poking out of the dirt in neat rows, like the skeleton of a base that used to be there. Because that's exactly what they are. During World War II, the Marine Corps built a training installation on this land called Camp Dunlap. When the war ended, the military packed up. The buildings came down, the equipment shipped out. But pouring concrete is expensive, and pulling it out of the ground is even more expensive. So the foundations stayed. Decades later, people started parking on top of them. RVs, trailers, shacks built out of scrap wood and salvaged metal. Somebody planted a mountain of paint and adobe on a nearby hillside and called it Salvation Mountain. Somebody else built an open-air venue out of junk and started hosting concerts under the stars. The name Slab City stuck because the slabs were the one thing that never left. Today, the year-round population sits somewhere in the low hundreds. In winter, when the heat backs off and snowbirds start rolling in from across the country, that number can climb into the thousands. All of it packed onto roughly 640 acres, about 1 square mile, with no formal government running any of it. No mayor, no city council, no water bill, because there's no water utility to bill you. So why here? The obvious answer is that nobody else wanted this land, and there's some truth to that. Summers regularly blow past 110 degrees. Rain is rare enough that you plan your life around its absence. This is Imperial County, tucked against the Salton Sea, and it's one of the least hospitable stretches of inhabited ground in the United States. But that explanation isn't complete, because there is plenty of worthless land in America, and almost none of it turns into a settlement like this. Empty desert doesn't attract people on its own. What attracts people is empty desert with the hard part already done for them. And that's exactly what the abandoned base left behind. Roads were already cut. Access was already there. The site had already been cleared and leveled by the military decades earlier. Geography made the land undesirable. History made it usable. You need both pieces for a place like Slab City to exist, and this patch of desert happened to have them stacked on top of each other. There's a second piece to this, and it's less about the land and more about what changed around it. For most of history, choosing to live somewhere this remote meant giving things up. No power, no easy way to communicate, no quick path back to a job or a hospital. The further you got from a population center, the more you sacrificed to stay there. That calculation has shifted. Solar panels, satellite internet, and vehicles built specifically for off-grid living have chipped away at the cost of distance. People can now run a business, stay in touch with family, and handle an emergency from a spot that would have been functionally cut off from the modern world a generation ago. Slab City didn't get less remote. The cost of remoteness just got cheaper. That's part of why a settlement like this can persist into the 2020s instead of fading out the way so many frontier outposts did. But none of that explains the actual mystery here, which isn't why people showed up. People have been moving into deserts for centuries, looking for distance from everyone else. The mystery is why California has let them stay. Because this isn't some ungoverned frontier. This is California, the state with more environmental regulations than almost anywhere in the country, a state that will fine you for the wrong kind of light bulb. It owns this land outright. It has every legal tool available to clear the settlement tomorrow if it wanted to. So the real question was never whether the state could act, it's why it hasn't. The answer comes down to something every government deals with. Authority is not the same thing as priority. Every state has a finite amount of money, staff, and political attention, and it has to decide constantly which problems are worth spending that attention on. Geography quietly makes a lot of those decisions before anyone in an office ever votes on them. Imperial County alone covers more than 4,000 square miles, bigger than some entire states, and most of it is exactly like the land Slab City sits on: hot, dry, and low in economic value. That combination doesn't just keep people out, it keeps investment out too. Governments show up where the stakes are high. Growing populations need services, and services create pressure for budgets and infrastructure. Valuable land draws developers, and developers create tax revenue and political urgency. None of that exists here. Removing the settlement would cost real money and solve a problem that almost nobody outside the settlement is asking the state to solve. Redeveloping it would require someone willing to sink serious capital into one of the harshest environments in the state. Compared to those options, leaving it alone has simply been the cheapest choice on the table for over half a century. It's worth being clear about something here, because there's a lot of mythology around this place online. Slab City is not some independent zone outside American law. State agencies can enter whenever they choose. Law enforcement operates there. If officials in Sacramento decided tomorrow that clearing the settlement was worth the cost, they have every legal mechanism required to do it. Nothing about this location is actually beyond the reach of the state. What's protected the settlement isn't a legal loophole. It's an economic one. As long as the cost of acting stays higher than the benefit of acting, the incentive to intervene stays close to zero, no matter how much legal authority sits unused in the background. This pattern isn't unique to 1 square mile of Southern California desert either. Throughout history, distance has created the same kind of opening in a lot of different landscapes. Isolated hollows in Appalachia, remote stretches of the desert Southwest, hidden bayous in Louisiana. People didn't settle those places because the terrain was pleasant. They settled there because the terrain kept the rest of the world from following too closely. The people drawn to Slab City today aren't chasing one single thing. Some are after lower costs. Some want independence from rules they find suffocating. Some are artists looking for open space to build something nobody would approve in a permitted lot. What connects all of them isn't a shared belief system. It's proximity to a gap where the pressures of ordinary life arrive slower than everywhere else. And that gap depends entirely on the land around it staying unwanted. Across most of California, that's an increasingly rare condition. Cities keep expanding, infrastructure keeps stretching further out, and land that used to sit outside the state's economic engine keeps getting pulled back into it. Slab City has mostly escaped that pull, at least for now. If this same stretch of concrete foundations sat on the coast outside Los Angeles, or bordered a fast-growing suburb, or happened to sit on a route needed for a major infrastructure project, this conversation would look completely different. The moment land like this becomes valuable, the incentives flip almost instantly. Developers start circling. State budgets start finding room. Political pressure builds fast, because now there's something worth building pressure over. So, this was never really a story about a lawless pocket of desert that slipped through the cracks of California's regulatory system. It's a story about how geography sets the price of governing a place, long before anyone decides whether governing it is worth doing. A military base left behind cleared land and open roads. A punishing desert kept that land from ever becoming valuable enough to fight over. And for 6 decades, the cost of changing that arrangement has stayed higher than the benefit of leaving it exactly as it is. California didn't forget this place exists. It just never had a reason to spend money proving that it does. That's the quiet lesson buried in Slab City. Authority doesn't disappear just because it goes unused. It just waits for the incentives to change. And out here, in one of the hottest, driest corners of the state, the desert has been doing California's job for it all along.